O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Kenny Mack and myself coming to you tonight. Now a couple days removed from the Myles Garrett trade request. There's been some, not necessarily updates, but he did his radio tour. Denzel Ward's kind of chimed in. We've heard some reports about Bitonio now. David Njoku was doing a radio show and talked about it a little bit. So we just kind of wanted to give you some more of our thoughts on the situation now that we've had some time for it to marinate, and some new things have come to light. Or obviously we'll talk a little bit maybe about the Super Bowl here at the end, a little bit about the upcoming Browns season. But before we do, though, remember, if you want to get your thoughts and your intros on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. You can also become a YouTube member for 99 cents a month. It's only 99 cents for you, but $12 a year, less than $12 a year, but it helps out the show a ton. So if you're interested in that, you get the cool Browns emojis. If you want to find us on any of the social media platforms, just search at the Dogs Podcast. And if you prefer to just listen to the show, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. Lastly, if you're looking for more Dogs content, head to jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page. And before we dive into the episode, we have kind of talked about, we mentioned on the show the last couple that we are approaching our 500th episode. I don't know exactly the order this one's going to come out in, but I know that Josh did. He did 2 hours with Barry Shuck on the Senior Bowl and stuff. That's going to be a couple episodes. So I don't know the order of all this stuff coming out, but I know between whenever you're watching this and Sunday, February 16th, I think is where we're kind of aiming to do that 500th episode. I think it's going to be a good one. I think Kenny's going to be on there. I'm pretty sure. At least we want him to be on there, so hopefully he's free that day. Maybe I'm just springing this on him.
Hell yeah, I will.
I think we got, especially for some people who've been watching the show since the very beginning, I think you guys are going to be happy with that episode. And to kind of celebrate, the achievement, we want to do some contests, some giveaways. So basically what we're thinking is anybody who is already a YouTube member, and anybody who becomes a YouTube member between now and through that episode, I'm pretty sure we're going to be live. We're going to raffle off 3 Dogs podcast t-shirts throughout that episode. So make sure you're watching, become a YouTube member either now or sometime in between now and then, or even while you're watching live, you can do it. We'll have everybody's name in a random name generator. As you become a member on that episode, we'll throw your name in, and we're going to give away 3 Dogs podcast t-shirts. And it'll fit you. We'll get your information, get a ship sent straight to you. Another thing we are going to do, anybody who is already a Dog Pack member, so Kenny Mack, others, who have been on this show before, and anybody who joins the Dog Pack, again, just like the YouTube membership between now and through the end of that episode, you'll be entered. We're going to give away 1 Browns jersey. So we're going to give away 3 t-shirts, and we'll give away a Browns jersey. The only stipulation on the Browns jersey is it can't be a custom. You got to get a player who's on the team, and we'll get your information. It'll fit. I know sometimes people do giveaways and you get a 2X and you're a medium. It'll fit. It'll be a Browns jersey for you. So head to jointhedogs.com, become a Dog Pack member between now and the end of that episode. Again, that's on February 16th. You'll have a chance to win a free Browns jersey that night. You're helping the show out. And I really think it's going to be a fun episode. Just kind of 500 episodes. We didn't think we'd do 50 or 5. So we're excited to bring you guys that one. But without, that's enough plugging ourselves. Let's get into the episode. So speaking on the Myles thing, he goes on the Rich Eisen show. He's down at, he's in this at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and they just come straight out and ask him about the trade request. And he starts going through saying it was time. The biggest thing for me that I took away was they said he just doesn't think him and the front office are on the same page. Another thing I took away was he knows that there's a chance they won't trade him, and he doesn't have much power in this situation. And some people are saying he like seems really dug in. I can see that part of it. And in another part, I don't know, he almost seemed slightly wishy-washy to me. Like he knows maybe this is a long shot. I didn't get the sense, like, I don't think there's any way if we don't trade him that he sits out for 2 seasons. I don't see that happening. So I think, I don't know. It just seems to me like he got frustrated. He talked to LeBron, which I'll get your thoughts on, see what you think of that. But I don't know. I get the sense that Myles Garrett's still going to be here. I have it on good authority, and I'm not going to say how I got it or who exactly it's from because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I know somebody who talked to somebody who's very close to the Browns, extremely close to the Browns, and I saw the screenshots, so I know it's legit, and he said Myles isn't going anywhere. So, so again, I guess take my word for it. If you're watching, hopefully you find me slightly trustworthy. But I don't think they're going to trade him. I don't know what they could have told him to make him think that we're so far off when just a couple weeks ago he said we're closer than what. So I don't know. I just don't know what could have happened in this 2 weeks. What do you think?
Dude, yeah. I mean, my thoughts on this whole situation, like obviously it's changed in the last couple of days since we spoke. I can tell you, number one, I just don't want to be in this situation. I mean, it's a bad look again for the Browns, and I'm tired of being like, what are we all called? Mistake on the lake, dumpster fire, like factory of sadness. I mean, I'm like Myles. I want to win. I get it. It's been too long for me, man. Like it's been since Bernie Kosar. Those were fantastic days. But it just seems so far away at this point. Sometimes when I hear him talk in these interviews, it sounds like obviously he really just wants to win bad. And it's just the freshness of the season kind of is making him unhappy right now, because I totally get what you're saying, man. Like, what can you possibly guarantee this guy if he wants to win the Super Bowl bad? He says he wants to win Super Bowls. Like, let's say the Chiefs, they're the one that's been to the Super Bowl the most in the last 5 years. Let's say the Chiefs figure out a way to trade for him. Okay. They've been to the Super Bowl for the third year in a row. They played 17 games plus another 12 games. Like, they're going to fall apart at some point. And I know I keep saying this, I keep winning, but at some point, you got to understand, like, it's a big crapshoot. And I put this out to my backer group today. I put it in our Facebook forum as well. I said Myles was his usual calm and collected self. And I'm not sure he understands the impact of his pre-June 1st trade demands. I don't think he understands the impact on his teams and the fans right now. I know he wants to play in Super Bowls, but there is only a 6.25% chance every year that teams get to go. So any team that's worth trading to, they don't have the money for you because you're too damn good. So it's just a pipe dream at this point. Well, that's my thoughts.
I saw a thing that said, since Myles Garrett's entered the NFL, there have been 8 Super Bowls. The same 7 teams have played in all 8 of them. 25 teams haven't. 78% of the league has not been to a Super Bowl since he was drafted. So to say, like, wow, wherever we trade you. Now, he didn't say he wants to go somewhere that he's guaranteed to go to a Super Bowl. He just wants to go to somewhere who he feels is closer than the Browns, which I get. But we're 1 year removed from winning 11 games. Like, does he really think it fell off that much? David Njoku doesn't seem to think so. So I don't know. You're not guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to go to a contender. And I guess this is what I want to touch on. I feel like the day he announced he wanted to be traded, the onus was on the Browns. People were furious with the Browns. There was even a small protest at the stadium about how people were so. And then he went and did this kind of mini radio tour yesterday. And I almost feel like the narrative has changed. Like, a lot of people are like starting to sour on him. And maybe maybe he's not doing it on purpose. Maybe he thinks that's his only leverage, because he kind of, he went on and talked about that. Then he talked about like kind of like flirting with some other teams and being like excited about the possibilities. And it was like, I'm not going to bash Myles. Well, one, I think he's still going to be on the team, so I'm going to want to continue to root for him. Two, I've loved Myles since he was on the Browns, and I don't want to put him down for this. Like he gave us 8 years, but the Browns don't owe him anything. This is kind of what I see, and I don't agree with Tony Grossi on pretty much anything, but he kind of said something along these same lines in terms of the Browns don't owe you anything. The Browns, yes, you've been here for 8 years and we've been bad, but you've been handsomely paid for those 8 years. The organization, the team, they owe us. We're the ones who've been drugged through the dirt for our entire lives, and we've been doing it for free. In fact, we've been doing it at a deficit because we buy their gear, we buy their tickets, we buy their concession stand food. So Myles Garrett isn't owed a single thing by the Browns organization. So if you do want traded, we're not doing you a favor. You know, I'm not sending you to a team you want to go to. I'm sending you to the team that is going to give me the best possible chance to improve the team, because their duty is to the Browns, not to Myles Garrett. So again, I'm not crapping on Myles. If he wants out, like, it sucks, but it is what it is. But the job of the front office and the organization then is to do what is best for the Browns, not what's best for Myles Garrett. So you might the grass isn't always greener. We might trade you now. Okay. If you go on your little radio tour and you kind of, rub people the wrong way and you burn some bridges, okay, fine, we'll trade you. There's going to be some bad team out there who's willing to give us, 2 firsts and a player, or 3 firsts or something like that. And you can go waste away in Jacksonville or Carolina. And again, I've enjoyed watching Myles play for the Browns, but no one player is bigger than the Browns. And so, see ya. Be gone.
Yeah. I find that he's pretty open and honest, and like he said he spent time with his family and that kind of thing. Like I watched him. I get what you were saying earlier about he was kind of nervous. He was kind of grasping his hands like that when he was first talking, like he's going like this. And then he settled down. He was direct. He was focused. He was calm. He's super not like an emotional guy, man. Like he was very to the point. And it was interesting the way it started. With the initial statement he had, he just said, I felt like it was time. I'd taken my time after the season, kind of relaxed, decompressed emotionally, wanted to distance myself from the team and spend a little time with my family about the decision. So he made it about him and his family. He didn't talk about his teammates. He didn't talk about his agent. He didn't talk about anything in that first statement. And I was like, he seems a little detached right away. But the next one, he was like, the next main thing he said, I guess, and you passed this one to me, is it's never about the Hall of Fame for me. It's not about the money or the records, and you're just remembered for winning. So I was like, okay, I've always been under the assumption that Myles is his draft would want to be part of the Hall of Fame, but that's not really a big deal. He doesn't. He says it's not about the money. If his agent wants money, it's going to be about the money. And if you paid him $38 million right now, he'll be a lot happier. But he has said, and I've read this a couple times, $40 million he's made as a rookie, $125 million by the time he's done this. So, I mean, he's got enough money, or more money than he can spend. So I'm pretty sure he came out as saying college that he wants to win. So he's just sour on the season again. That's what I keep coming to, is just fighting back. But I mean, like, what do you think of those statements?
I mean, if it was about money, he would just, first of all, if it was about money, he wouldn't be in this situation, because the Browns would just pay it. Andrew Berry's already talked about giving him an extension and all that good stuff. I don't think the Browns would have any qualms with giving him a huge extension. It would actually probably help them out, because it spread the contract back out and all that good stuff. So I agree with him. I don't think it's about money. Like you said, I think it was a bad season. I think he's looking around and he's getting a little bit older. He's in his prime and he's like, what am I doing here? I'm not winning enough games. That being said, like, I just don't think the Browns, teams go from worst to first every year. And I know we say this all the time, and maybe just naive Browns fans be like, oh, there's always next year. But it's just a quarterback. And I know it's always been just a quarterback. My entire adult life, that's been the not even my adult life, just literally my whole life. That has been, but it's still just the case. Just find the quarterback. And I know there's other holes, but that quarterback is what can hide a ton of those holes and make up for a ton of those deficiencies. In this draft is loaded at some of these other positions we need. Like, get your quarterback early, and your next 4 picks, we can be significantly better with our first 5 picks this year if we hit on them. And I know that can be a big if and all that stuff, but maybe I'm just not as reactionary as some Browns fans. And I feel like I've changed a lot since we started doing this show. And since I've looked at the bigger picture more, I've actually, talked to players and coaches and stuff like that, and realized that it's not always, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. You're usually somewhere in the middle. And so I'm not one to just be all over online, Twitter, Facebook, just screaming that the sky is falling down because Myles requested a trade. How about we wait? How about we wait to see what happens? And maybe we get a haul and it's not terrible for the, I don't know. I guess I'm just not as reactionary, I think, as a lot of Browns. And if you go back and watch early episodes of this podcast, I wasn't always that way. I think and I don't want to oversell. It's not like I'm rubbing shoulders and elbows with all the Browns players all the time, but just being a little bit closer to the team, having met a couple players and getting to talk to a couple coaches, it just kind of gives you a different perspective on the way that the inner workings of it and how it operates. So I just it stinks to ask for a trade, but we're a month away from the trade deadline. I'm just not one to sit here the next 30 days tweeting out 15 times a day, fire Andrew Berry, the Browns are it's just, let's just wait and see what happens. Let's give them, they're going to be here. Let's give them a chance.
This episode is brought to you by Bitonio Sports. Browns fans, Bitonio Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Bitonio started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Bitonio has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Bitonio has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Bitonio makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Bitonio even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing, and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard games section of Bitonio's website, where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Bitonio Sports, BADEN Sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. Bitonio Sports.com/dogs.
O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Dude, I thought you were going to fight Baker Mayfield a couple times with some of those bad interceptions. That was hilarious back in the day. But it's like he said, and I think you get... I think you said it. It's like he mentioned along this lines, and this is a quote from him, just looking at the trajectory of the team and talking to some higher-ups, I've got a lot of respect for them. Just don't see where we're aligned going with this team in the future. Wouldn't you like to know, what are the key points here that don't line up? And we're never probably going to find that out, but it's obviously got to be quarterback. But again, it's here's the thing, what are the Browns, and you mentioned this earlier, what are we going to tell him right now? You're going to roll it out and say, okay, here's my PFF mock draft here. This is how it's exactly going to go for us. We're going to take Shador at number 2, and then number 3, we're taking Henderson. You liked him. He's just down the road at Ohio State and see this list of free agent of defensive ends, we're going to sign these guys. We're 100% sure that they're going to sign with us. Like what can you possibly say, or what kind of plan can you lay out at this point? So basically, like what I'm thinking, I'm like, well, there's no way you can trade them based on the salary cap, right? Especially the June 1st payments, like 36, or the dead cap hits 36 million. So they're going to have to wait, and then maybe June just kind of sorts itself out.
No, I think I agree. I think it seems contentious now, but let free agency hit, go sign somebody, add a couple pieces and be like, look, we're if you come join this football team and we just added these pieces, we can be a good football team. David Njoku said the quiet part out loud today. He said, stay home. We're not that far off. We're really not. And then he said what we all have been saying. He said, we just need a good, healthy quarterback. He said the part that sometimes maybe some players and coaches wouldn't say, and he said it. And like you said, you can't guarantee to him anything because you don't know how the draft and free agency is going to go. So the only thing I can think is, did Andrew Berry tell him, it's going to be this year's probably not going to be good because of money situations, but we plan on being really good again in 2026. And he was just like, no, I'm not wasting another year. I don't want to believe that we're punting on a season because, again, maybe this is just naive Browns fan. I really think that if we hit on our 3 of our first 5 draft picks at key positions, the Browns can be pretty solid again. Where he's at least, and contender can be interpreted multiple different ways. Does it mean he wants to go to the AFC Championship, or does he want to know he's going to be playing meaningful football week 18 with a chance, to make a run? Because I think if you add a bridge quarterback, I think if you add this running back class is loaded in the draft. You add one of these running backs. If Myles stays, Joel Bitonio stays, your line is looking a lot better. You're going back to Kevin's offense, which hopefully a guy like Kirk Cousins is familiar with running. All of a sudden, this team looks a lot more like the team that won 11 games in 2023. And I just feel like you can sell that to them. So, and you could say, listen, I can't guarantee you that we're going to the Super Bowl, but I can guarantee you we're going to be a whole heck of a lot better than we were last year. And come week 18, we plan on having a puncher's chance to make the tournament. And once you make the tournament, it's all bets are off, So,
dude, every quarter, every team's one quarterback injury away of being bad. And so I don't know how you can guarantee him where he can go and win. I don't know how you can guarantee him anything until you get a quarterback that can do something. So I have no idea, really what he wants to hear right now. That'll make him stay in Cleveland. And it just gets me back to every single time that we're mentioning anything right now that he's just super unhappy. He's just got to let it, go, But going out into the public and going out, I mean, that's a super calculated move. And I don't know if I was texted you this or not, but I watched the Rich Eisen show, and obviously we're talking about the Rich Eisen show and what he said. Well, when it first broke, Rich Eisen had a big reel that he put on social, and basically the reel said a bunch of stuff like, he's unhappy, and they just went through all the different scenarios and some possibilities. And he said right on Monday when it was released, he said, and Myles Garrett will be right here, and he'll be off the plane in here telling us exactly what it is. So he planned to go to Radio Row and just unload on every single station that he possibly could. So that's kind of for him, that's as about as irrational as you get, I guess, because he likes to keep it in-house. He's super professional. So I was really taken away by that he would go that route just before the awards tonight, I guess, and kind of put it out there that he's available. Well, he thinks he's available, but I'm not sure. Other than that, man, usually that dude's super calm, laid back. And I'm glad that David Njoku stuck up for the Browns today. And we'll see what happens, man.
No, like I said, I don't want to. I'm not bashing him, but I didn't like going around and flirting with other teams and all that stuff on national radio. Like, come on, just you asked for your trade. The letter was fine. We're handling that. We don't need to go out there and do all this, because you might not be happy with the Browns organization, but that doesn't hurt them. Like, it is kind of demoralizing to the people who have cheered for you for 8 years. No matter how bad the team was, we were loud for Myles Garrett, so I feel like it's
the loudest,
a slap in the face to Browns fans to go out and do that. But again, I'm not like as mad as I was at the decision for LeBron, but I guess before we move on, what did you think? He said he talked to LeBron, and I don't understand. There's a lot of LeBron haters in Cleveland, which is mind-blowing to me. Like, the man helped give us our only professional sports championship in our entire lives. If you're watching this, good chance, unless you were around back in, 64, which, I guess like my dad was, but you haven't seen your professional sports team win a championship outside of one with LeBron James. And like, trust me, I was pissed when he left in 2010, and I didn't love that he left to go to LA again. But at the same time, I said this on Twitter today, there's no loyalty in this. This is for everybody involved with teams and the players and the coaches and the front. This is business. Okay. The only loyalty factor is to the fans, to the team. There is no loyalty here. So LeBron going down there or coming back, winning a championship, and then leaving to go to LA to finish his career. Like, yeah, cool. I wish he would have stayed in Cleveland, but it's worked out for us pretty well. And he's a grown man. He got us the championship, and now he's going on with his career. Like, that happens everywhere. Just because he grew up an hour south of Cleveland doesn't mean he owes his entire life to Cleveland. So I don't understand.
No, exactly.
The LeBron haters in Cleveland. I don't know. I don't root for LeBron anymore. I'm not out here cheering on the Lakers because I'm a Cavs fan, just like I'm a Browns fan above being a Cavs or a LeBron fan. But when LeBron does retire and they build a statue and they hang his jersey in the rafters, I'll be there and I'll be pumped for it. So I don't understand the LeBron hate, but I knew as soon as Myles said that he talked to LeBron, a ton of Cleveland people were just going to be freaking out that he talked to LeBron. If he would, I would.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I would bet my life LeBron didn't call him out of the blue and talk him into requesting a trade from Cleveland. Myles called LeBron because LeBron had experience in this field, in this city, with this fan base, and just asked him for advice, and LeBron just kept it real with him. Again, I wasn't on the call, so maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see a world in which, what would LeBron have to gain from Myles Garrett not being in Cleveland anymore? Like
Nothing. And I mean, Rich Eisen, I think, spelled it out in the longer part of that interview that it was just there as LeBron was just there as a guy that was helping out another guy. And they happen to like basketball, and, Myles is part of the Cavs, and he's invested in the community. I'm sure whether or not, and I'm not a Cleveland guy, whether LeBron's there or not, he's still invested in the Cleveland or Akron community in some avenue, right? So I'm sure Myles still wants to be here. I'm sure they talked about a lot of things. Like he said, hey, if you want to leave, it might be hard because it's the NFL. This isn't the NBA. But he might have even said, like, they didn't put the whole thing down. Maybe you want to stay for these reasons. Maybe you want to stay for whatever. You know what I mean? So I don't get it. I think really at the end of the day, man, it's just Browns fans aren't happy, and no matter what you do, they're not going to be happy with it. You can post just like, I like the Browns, and you'll get 50 people on 50 different ranges of like, I hate you, I love you, and like everything. You know what I mean? I think that's what that is. Just another thing to hate on.
No, I agree. So we got about 10 minutes here. You said I put out a couple tweets. Were there some good reactions to these tweets?
Oh, that was, I was speaking earlier, but one thing that I can tell you that I want to get into is what 2025 looks like. So we hold the most draft capital. We have a first round, second round, third round, we have 2, Fourth round, we have one. Fifth round, we have one. Then sixth round, we have like 3 picks, right? But the biggest thing is that while we have the highest total cap because we rolled over the most money, we're still negative 26.8 million over the cap, right? Or 26.8 million over the cap. So the one thing that I find is if we still have to restructure Deshaun Watson's contract, and that's basically going to convert a lot of money over that will get us under that with Myles, with Denzel Ward, Jack Conklin, and Joel Bitonio, we can get significantly under the cap. So we have very, very large restructure potential. Plus, we have that $33 million coming back from the settlement or the injury settlement / insurance from Deshaun Watson. So there's room to move. You draft right, like you said. I don't see what the big deal is with that. Those are the known facts for Myles to know that we can do something to make. Whether you hit on the actual draft picks and get the specific players you're targeting for free agency, I'm not really sure, man. But the other thing I wanted to get into, for you, the ripple effect. So you mentioned Denzel Ward, you mentioned Joel Bitonio, you mentioned David Njoku and the fans, right? Do you see, like with Denzel Ward, he kind of came out, he's a little unsure, if Myles isn't here, he's kind of wishy-washy. How did you kind of take that? How do you kind of take Joel Bitonio? Like, I don't think it means much to him to whether he's going to stay or not. And the longer he goes without retiring, I think he's going to come back for another year. But what was your thoughts on those two guys as you mentioned them?
So I think Denzel, he's probably a lot like Myles in terms of he just wants to be playing meaningful football at the end of the season, and getting, not having Myles Garrett will make it tougher to be playing meaningful football. Plus, he just wants, I would imagine he's saying, like, don't trade this guy. And he's kind of talking to Myles too, like, come on, let's not mess up this entire thing. The Joel Bitonio thing, he just doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild at this point in his career. And, like, if he's going to be banged up and hurting, for 6-7 months out of the year, it better be for something at this age and this point in his career. So, but again, I said, I don't think it's a total rebuild if we keep Myles, and I don't think it's a total rebuild if Myles ends up getting traded. Because we have so much draft capital, I think you can add some very good, important pieces to this team and turn it around pretty quick. It's not like we're coming off a 1-31 stretch. We obviously just had a really bad year in which we built around a quarterback that A, couldn't play anymore, and then B, got hurt, and then we're in scramble mode. And then Nick Chubb comes back, gets hurt again, and it's just, there are so many things that went wrong this season. We're not that far removed from a playoff run. Okay. So I understand there's holes. I understand if we've put the team out there on paper today, you're like, look at this hole, look at this hole, look at this hole, look at this. But we still have free agency in a draft. And I'm putting some stock into the fact that we will address these needs in free agency and in the draft. And I guess I'm being hopeful that we will hit on picks and people in free agency. So I think the Browns can play competitive football this year. It all depends on, they got to hit the quarterback. That's the biggest thing. They got to, and I'm for drafting 2, adding 1 in free agency, adding 2. I said this just joking. I'd bring 10 quarterbacks in 10 different ways this year and let them go out. And just one of them's got to be good. So I'm just adding quarterback. I'm bringing every quarterback that I can get my hands on this year and one of them's going to stick.
Yeah, draft 2. I like that. You always say that all the time. I think kind of like in summary, I think both you and I agree. Like, as far as like, does he have a leg to stand on? No, he doesn't. I mean, he wasn't traded last year at the deadline. I know some people made something of it and we thought, not really. You realize that based on what we said, if he's traded before June 1st, this year, he's 36. Let's say it's $40 million of dead money that we got to put against the cap right now, right? If they would have traded him last year, it would have been like $62 million. It was wild, right? So if he stays, it's $19 million against the cap. And I just don't see with him, and I think you're the same, right? It's just, I don't see him moving. If he does move, it might be mid 2026 when there's a half a year left on his contract. And that dude, man, he's like a young 29. Like, that guy's jacked. He's in shape. I know football beats you down, but that guy is in amazing shape. And I think he can get a long time out of it. Like, he could possibly be the next Bruce Smith, play till he's 40. I just don't know if he has it in him. If he can like withstand significant injury, who knows, right?
No, I agree. I think if I was a betting man, which I am, I would say Myles Garrett will be on our team. Because in everything I'm hearing from the Browns is they're not trading him. It's just not happening. And one is I don't think they want to, and two, they can't afford to trade him right now. But it'll be interesting. Just some stuff to talk about. Before we get out, I guess just real quick, who do you got winning the Super Bowl?
Dude, that's a tough one, man, because you don't want to go against Patrick Mahomes. I've been saying it all year and picking against him. I don't know why bother doing that. Kansas City, I mean, they got everything on their side. Like, if you watch their games this year, I mean, between like kicks that doink off the crossbars, guys that fumble at inopportune times, I mean, they have everything on their side, but yet they look so beatable. Like, do they not look beatable to you? And they just win. So, like, while it seems that destiny is their destiny for three, I'm going to go with the Eagles, man, because you know what? This is an Andy Reid built game. Andy Reid left Philadelphia telling them to control the freaking line of scrimmage. He's going to do it in Kansas City, but my X factor is Saquon Barkley. I think Philly controls it a little bit better, gets a couple more first downs with the tush push. Saquon's just a little bit better than Kareem right now. I'd be happy if Kareem won one, but just a little bit, yeah. But the Eagles win 28-21, man. That's what I'm taking.
This is a tough one to pick because I think the Eagles roster is better than Kansas City's roster, but Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid I think is a significantly better coach than Nick Sirianni. And
fair point. That's a good point.
You know, so I think the Eagles are better on paper, and it's just tough to pick against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And the Chiefs,
I agree,
are not that explosive on offense, but they just figure out a way to move it enough. And the Chiefs' defense is suffocating. Like, it is hard to move the ball or score at all on the Chiefs. And Saquon's clearly an X factor, but I think the Chiefs will sell out to stop Saquon, and they're going to make Jalen Hurts beat them. And can Jalen Hurts throw the ball well enough against this Chiefs defense without turning it over to beat them? Because they got the weapons on the outside. They got Devontae Smith, they have AJ Brown, but it's just, I think they'll sell out. Chris Jones is such a factor in the run game and in the pass game. It's just,
yeah, he's huge.
So they'll control the ball or the clock with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. Patrick Mahomes will scramble on a couple 3rd and 6s and pick up first downs. I'm sure they'll get a flag or two.
Yeah, 8 or 7.
You know, so my brain says I think the Eagles win a close one because I think that on paper they're better, but my gut will say that the Chiefs win like a very close, and I think it's going to be low scoring game. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm going brain, you go gut. So we got 2 different picks. I'm also going for my boy Thale. He's one of our servers at our Browns backers bar. Then Vince from True Fan. He's a big Eagles fan. He takes care of us Browns fans.
Yeah,
for vacation party stuff. So yeah, you love that, man. It was a good time, bro. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. It's getting late for us. We're both adults, so we have to go to work for some reason in the morning. Again, our 500th episode is going to be coming up. We'll be live, I believe, on February 16th, as long as we're able to pump out enough episodes between now and then to get to that. You guys aren't going to want to miss it. Again, we're going to be raffling off 3 Dogs Podcast t-shirts. Just become a YouTube member between now and the end of that episode. And we're also going to be raffling off a Browns jersey. Just become a Dog Pack member, any tier level between now and the end of that episode, and we will pick the winner live. So you got a chance to win a couple t-shirts. You have a chance. I'm getting all these emojis again for some reason. I don't know why. And you got a chance to win a Browns jersey. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think you guys will enjoy the what we have planned and lined up for that episode. Again, if you want to get your thoughts and interests on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu. If you did want to become a Dog Pack member to enter this raffle, just is jointhedogs.com. Again, we appreciate you guys being here. Let us know what you guys think about the Myles situation in the comments, and we'll see you guys sometime later next week.
Let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DOGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order, and that code can be used over and over, so you get 10% off every order you make using code DOGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. dangercoffee.com, code DOGS.